Okay, 2 minutes in, aware everyone has a very busy schedule, so we'll get started now to keep to time. And if others join a little later, that's fine. We can kind of fold them into the webinar. So welcome everyone. Thank you all for taking time out of your day to come to the webinar and hear more about the research that we're doing at Crest and how you and your teams can get involved and support us with that research. We really appreciate your interest and kind of participation in this as well. Hopefully everyone can see the slides that I have on the screen at the moment. For those just joining now, to let you know the session is being recorded, so we can share it around with you after, and you can share with your teams as well. So no need to kind of take notes or anything like that. So just by way of a quick introduction, my name is Jess Hull. I'm a Senior Strategy and Insight Manager at Crest Advisory. And Crest is a research organisation that supports partners and communities to understand evidence and respond kind of effectively and in an evidence-based way to help build safe communities and have a fairer criminal justice system. We've been commissioned by the Youth Endowment Fund, the YEF, to research youth justice responses to serious violence, weapons offences and violence against women and girls, or VAWG. I'm sure everyone on the call is very familiar with the Youth Endowment Fund, but the Youth Endowment Fund exists to prevent children and young people being involved in violence, and they do this by finding out what works and then delivering or commissioning research to help put that knowledge into practice. So we're very pleased to be working with the Youth Endowment Fund to deliver this research. And this is building on some work we've done previously, working really closely with youth justice services and local partners around the application of the Child First framework in practice, and also work on trauma-informed practice and youth justice as well, as looking at the role of key workers across local partnerships. So I'll just quickly give you a bit more background on the research aims and purpose, so you have a sense of where this is going and why it's important, and why we need your input really as well. So some context, again, which I'm sure people on the call are very familiar with and is kind of very present for you, but we know when a child is involved in serious violence, weapons offences or violence against women and girls, there are a range of responses that a youth justice service and partners could take. But at the moment, the prevalence of those different responses across local areas, as well as decision-making around the different types of response, is a little less clear. So there isn't a good picture of what is happening across England and Wales. That kind of picture isn't held centrally at the moment. So the aims of the research are to map current responses and just better understand what that landscape looks like, to understand how decisions are made, what information is used and is helpful to services, and what are some of the challenges that services face when responding to children who have been involved in the most serious forms of violence, weapons offences and VAWG. And the key outcome here is that in combination with other ongoing research and completed research, the findings will support the Youth Endowment Fund to make recommendations for the youth justice sector on how to reduce violence amongst children and young people, including specifically how Youth Endowment Fund resources can better support your services and your teams directly. So our approach to this question is guided by 5 key research questions. I won't go through these in detail, but just so you have a sense, what we're interested in is understanding the need. So what's the scale and nature of your service's involvement with children in relation to serious violence, weapons offences and VAWG? And we know that that will look really different depending on where you are in the country, what kind of geography you have, and kind of what your caseload looks like. We want to understand the response, so what responses are available to you and to your partners to support these children. We want to understand decision making, so how are you as a service, as a team, as an individual making decisions about which responses to take in these cases. We also want to better understand system leadership and governance. So how do youth justice management boards act in this space? How do they fulfill their responsibilities around governance, coordination and accountability? And then finally, we want to understand the use of current evidence by the Youth Endowment Fund. So how useful is this evidence in informing your response, and what more might you need from YEF? So over the course of the year, we're undertaking a number of research methods to answer these questions, but the 2 that I want to specifically focus on today are the national survey and the focus groups with practitioners, because these are all open to you, and we would really love for you to get involved in one or both of these to make sure that your perspectives and your experience at your service are reflected in the research and then speak to the recommendations that we make. So I'll talk about the survey first. So we need your feedback via the survey to understand how your local area, how your local service supports children who are involved in serious violence, weapons offences and VAWG. So if you are yourself one of the roles that I've got listed on that slide, or you work with people in these roles across your teams, so if you're a head of service at Youth Justice Service, if you're a team manager, if you're a practitioner working directly with children, if you hold a caseload, or if you sit on a youth justice management board, you can take part in this survey, and we would really love you to do so. We want to make sure we have as many responses from services as possible and within services. So even if someone else in your team has already filled in the survey, we'd love to hear from you as well, just so we gather a range of perspectives, a range of roles from a range of areas. And the survey covers questions on what responses are available in your area for children arrested for these offences. There's some questions to explore how you make decisions, how you respond, what challenges do you face, and also about how you use information, guidance, and tools. On the bottom of the slide there, you can see there's a few different ways to access the survey. And the survey, I should say, is 15 minutes max. It's a short survey. We don't want to take up too much of your time with this. We want to make sure that you're able to share in the most accessible way. It's open till the 31st of July, so there's 3 weeks left to take part in the survey. And please do submit your response at a time that is most convenient. The way you can access this survey, so it's been emailed to all heads of service for all youth justice services in England and Wales, and also sent to the chair of all the youth justice management boards in England and Wales. So please do ask your head of service, if they haven't already shared that with you, would they be able to send that on? It's also available on the Youth Endowment Fund's website, so you can click directly to the survey from there. And we've just shared it in the chat for this Teams call as well. So if you have a moment now or immediately after the call to actually click on the link and go through, that would be fantastic, and a huge thank you in advance. Please also share this link with your colleagues. So once you've completed it, send the link round. Anyone who works in your team at the Youth Justice Service, if you sit on a Youth Justice Management Board, other colleagues and partners who sit on that board, please do circulate as much as you can. And just to give you a sense of what the survey looks like, you can see in the top right-hand corner of the screen, most of the questions on there are scale questions. So we'll ask you for your perspectives and to what extent you agree or disagree with different statements. And then there are some open text responses as well, where you can give us a bit more detail if you would like on what that looks like. We've also made a short video just explaining more about the research and how you can take part. My lovely colleague Rosie is there on the left, and she's in the video just explaining more about the research and the survey. And then finally, just to say, we've collaborated with Manchester Metropolitan University on this on the survey as well. So there are a couple of questions in there which relate to their research, which is on community sentencing decisions. And then finally, I'd just tell you about the focus groups that we're holding as well. So you can take part in focus groups and the survey. Please do take part in both. We'd encourage that. You can also take part in one or the other. You don't have to take part in both if you don't want to. So the purpose of the focus groups is for us to explore your thoughts, perspectives, experiences on some of those questions in a bit more detail. So we'll hold these online remotely over Teams, so they can be held kind of at your convenience. We'll have different options for different slots, so you can attend at a time that suits you best. And you'll be in a session with people from different areas across England and Wales. So it's also a really good opportunity to connect with other practitioners in other regions, for us to understand and explore differences in how you approach some decision making around these cohorts of children, and just really better understand what that looks like from your perspective, and what you need really in terms of support, information and guidance. So if you would like to take part in a focus group, again, there are a few different ways you can let us know. You can share your information at the end of the survey. So there's a question at the very end which says, if you'd like to take part in a focus group, please share your email address and we'll reach out to you about the focus group. And just to point out, if you do share your email address, that won't be connected to your survey responses, which will be confidential. Another way you can let us know is by emailing Rosie, and her email address is in the chat. Or if you would like to take part, Rosie's just popped a comment in the chat. If you could, are we saying react or comment? Yeah, react to that comment in the chat, and then we will reach out to you after this to give you a bit more information on how to sign up to do a focus group with us. Brilliant. Those are the end of my slides. We've got a bit of time left. So if anyone does have any questions about the research, the survey or the focus groups, please do ask or pop it in the chat as well. If not, this also might be a good opportunity with 15 minutes to spare. If anyone does want to click on the link to the survey now and use the time just to fill it out and then share with your team, that would be brilliant. I can see we've got one hand though. Natalie, can I come to you? Oh, I think you're on mute, Natalie.
Oh, can you hear me now?
Yeah, perfect.
I've had some technical issues with my new laptop, apologies. I'm the Chief Inspector for Barnsley, covering neighbourhoods, so the youth justice process sits within myself and Phil Drabbelover as Head of Youth Justice. We are currently doing a peer review with Humberside, again, to check our processes in terms of decision making, but we're also looking at the interventions, because if we've not got the broad scope of interventions, especially in terms of violence, but we've seen an increase in female violence and juveniles, is we don't have an option other than enter them into the first time entrance into the youth justice system. So in terms of this research, will I be able to identify and support appropriate interventions for those VAWG, female violence and weapons type of offences?
Thanks, Natalie. That's a great question. So yeah, I mean, part of the aim of the research is to understand the range of possible responses that youth justice services and partners can offer children involved with VAWG, with serious violence and with weapons offences. So there's certainly an element of mapping and also of highlighting promising and good practice in terms of responses. So yes, is the short answer to that. Equally, it sounds like the work that you're doing at the moment is providing kind of interesting and useful insights as you get going with that. So again, if you are able to bring that into the research as well through the survey or through the focus group, we'd really appreciate that. That would be really valuable.
Yeah, certainly. Thank you.
Thanks, Natalie. I think I saw another hand. Roz, yes.
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes, a couple of questions, please. So you gave a list of people that could take the survey. Would I be included in one of those as being the chair and lead for children's service education?
Are you involved with the Youth Justice Management Board in your area, Roz?
I'm not at the moment. I have lots of different areas coming away from the children's services, but for whatever reasons, I've been put on this webinar with you. So I'm just wondering how it relates to what I'm doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it sounds, Roz, like you kind of are sitting very much alongside the work of the Youth Justice Management Board in your role. One of the first questions in the survey basically asks you what your role is, and it's a mandatory question just so we can direct the right questions to the right people. So what I would suggest is that for that, if you click on Youth Justice Management Board, there's an option to write in your specific role within that. If you just set out what that is, then we'll be able to kind of understand that within the context of the survey. But equally, it would be brilliant to get your input in a focus group as well, from the partnership perspective and feeding into that, if that sounds good. Thanks, Roz.
Yes, thank you. Can I just ask a second question, please?
Of course. Yeah, of course.
we have a formal process, I believe, for sort of capturing surveys, well, high quality surveys like yourself. But do we ever give feedback or ask the people who are directly affected by youth crime? Do you personally ask these people?
So talking about victims of the crimes that we're looking at here.
Yes.
Yeah, it's an essential part of the work in general. For this research, it's not within the scope of what we're doing because we're focused purely on the responses that youth justice services and partners are offering. But I know more broadly in terms of the suite of research, it's an important area, and part of what we're wanting to do is speak as well to community, local authority and victim services who are operating in that space to bring their perspectives into it. Unfortunately, though, in the scope of this particular piece, our team is not speaking directly to victims of those crimes.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ros. Does anyone else have any questions? Have I missed anything from the chat? No. Polly?
Yes. Would I be able to pass this on to my community panel members who work in referral order panels? They're volunteers, though, so would this be okay to give to them?
Yes, I'm just thinking though about how, sorry, I'm just thinking about those roles at the beginning of the survey, because so I suppose they're involved in decision making alongside the Youth Justice Service around.
Yeah, with the child in the room.
I'm thinking in the context of the survey, it will be, there isn't a specific role that's kind of listed for them because they won't hold the caseload and they're kind of not the team manager. But I agree, Polly, it'd be really good to get their input. So we would be able to invite them to the focus group still, if that's something they would be interested in taking part in, sharing their views on.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a few that would and would have some good input, and possibly other boroughs, or certainly in London, who will have panel members who probably can. I'm only saying in London because I know most of them. But yes, and also the other thing is that I noticed that you'd published something recently on effectiveness of different types of interventions for knife crime in particular, just carrying a knife, and you said, and I've heard this in several other different areas in podcasts and stuff, that weapons awareness training or lessons or programs are not at all effective with children who already carry knives. And I suppose what I want is for this to be more highlighted, because I keep explaining to people or in my work, but because we've got a great weapons awareness worksheet, everyone just really wants to do it, and I feel like it's not basically it's gonna make the children who carry knives think that knives are very important and that they probably still do need to carry them, and I feel like I just felt that there wasn't as much emphasis on that as I would have liked on your website. That's all.
No, thanks, Polly. Thanks for raising that. It's helpful and interesting to get your perspectives on that as well. I think within the scope of this work, what we'll be doing in the later phases, you might have seen on the slide, is case studies with areas as well as those focus groups. And the idea really is to bring all that understanding and thinking together to look at not just what responses are on offer, but what are the perspectives of practitioners on how they make decisions about what's appropriate for particular children and what response will be effective or won't be effective. So those perspectives are really valuable. Thank you for raising it and highlighting it. It definitely is within the scope of this work.
Good.
Thanks, Polly.
Thank you.
Another hand, is it Daniel?
Daniel. Hi. Just really quickly, do we have any sort of time frame or timeline as to when any findings might be published? I know we're obviously very early on, but
yeah, great question. So our research, our field work will finish December, January time, and then we'll work with the Youth Endowment Fund to get that published. That might be kind of moving into the earlier months of 2027. The idea then is that that research will be pulled together with other research to form a bigger YEF publication, which I believe will go into the summer of 2027. But in terms of our piece, that should be early 2027.
Brilliant, thank you.
Thanks, Daniel. Ros.
Right, thank you. Sorry, I've just been informed that I am on the Youth Justice Partnership Management Board, but I've not yet attended. The first one is in August.
Brilliant.
So thank you for that.
That's fantastic. I'm glad that was clarified. Yeah, it would be brilliant to get your input, as I said. Yeah, for the survey and the focus group if you're interested.
I will do. Thank you.
Thank you. Rory.
Hello there. Just a general question, really. So I work in public realm and safety. So I'm from Lambeth Council. I manage our violence affecting young people strategy. And our strategy has recently been evaluated by London Southwark University as well, in relation to some of the interventions we commission. But I guess just separately, just to, I guess, make sure I'm the right person to take part in the survey or the focus groups, or how far to disseminate the survey to, because obviously I work very closely with my colleagues in the Youth Justice Service. I work with loads of local partners who work with young people as well. So yeah, I'm just trying to just ascertain how far would you like me to share this survey, and whether I was, or my department would be sort of included in that remit of yours for the research.
Yeah, absolutely. Probably a similar response here that I gave before to others, in that because of the roles that we have listed in the beginning of the survey, if you or colleagues kind of aren't sitting on or feeding into the local Youth Justice Management Board, I know sometimes they have different names, but kind of in your area, then I think the best way for you to get involved in the research will be via the focus groups, where we can kind of have a bit of a broader remit, bring in different roles. I know that structures will look a bit different in every area, so that way we can make sure people who are kind of involved in different partnerships are able to bring their perspectives in. So I'd say in terms of the survey, please can you share that with any colleagues you know who sit or work within the Youth Justice Management Board in your area, or your Youth Justice Service. That would be fantastic. And then in terms of focus groups, yourself and any partners who have remit in this area are really welcome to get involved.
So just to clarify, so it's the service, the Youth Justice Service, or just the board, or both?
Both. Yeah,
both. Okay, cool.
Bro,
that's perfect. No worries.
Thanks, Rory. That's great. Brilliant. Does anyone else have any questions? Thanks also, Tori, just for flagging a technical issue in the chat. Hopefully we've got that sorted. Hopefully that is working for others on the call. If you do run into any technical issues with the survey, please let us know. You can email Rosie or myself, and we will sort that for you ASAP. Brilliant. If there are no other questions, we can wrap it up there. Thank you everyone so much for taking the time out to engage with this research, and for your thoughtful questions as well and comments.
Thank you.
Take care. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.